Hello, 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 and welcome back, friends, to the Early Childhood Connection, a podcast from Leap Early Learning Partners. I am your host, Rachel Charles, and today we are talking about something that impacts every classroom, every age group, every single day. So now you might be thinking to yourself, what impact me every day and every classroom? Today, we are going to be diving into active supervision. If you have been in early childhood for any amount of time, you've probably heard the term before. Maybe you have even had training on it. So now you're thinking to yourself, yes, Rachel, I already know what active supervision is. And actually, I'm so glad you say you already know what active supervision is. Because here's my question to you. Is active supervision simply watching children? Or is there more to it than that? Today, we are going to explore that question with someone who has spent years partnering with early childhood programs and educators to strengthen teaching practices and create safe, engaging learning environment. I'm excited to welcome our guest, Kalinda Hawthorne. Kalinda is an early childhood specialist who provides technical assistance and practice-based coaching in early childhood programs across Central East Georgia. She brings more than 10 years of experience working with young children and their families and is passionate about helping educators create high quality learning environments. Kalinda earned her Bachelor's of Science in Educational Studies from Grand Canyon University and her Master of Science in Early Childhood Studies from Walden University. She is currently pursuing a Doctor of Educational Leadership at Augusta University. One of the things I admire most about Kalinda is her passion for building strong relationships with educators. She's a dedicated advocate for early literacy and believes every child deserves access to high quality learning experiences that help them grow, learn, and thrive. Kalinda, welcome to the Early Childhood Connection. We are so glad you're here.
Hey, Rachel, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Excellent. So, I know I just gave the listeners a little bit about yourself, but tell us a little more about your role and what you do enjoy most about supporting educators.
Yeah, of course. So you did a great job introducing my role. I am an early childhood specialist with Leap Early Learning Partners, which is a grant program of Augusta University. We are attached to the university through a federal grant. And if I had to choose what I enjoy most about working with educators is that I get to build relationships with them, and I get to be the person that I didn't have when I was an educator just starting out in early childhood. And I think part of that is that I'm not a supervisor. So the teachers and directors that I work with, everything has to be built on trust between myself and them. So I get to walk alongside educators as their partner and their liaison rather than as someone who's there to strictly evaluate them. And I think that that changes the whole tone of what I do.
Ooh, I love that. So you have spent years supporting teachers in the classroom, which means you have had a front row seat to the day-to-day life of an ECE provider. So today's topic, let's talk about active supervision. Okay? So when it comes to active supervision, when people hear the term active supervision, what do you think comes to mind?
From my observations and just being in the field, I think that people think of active supervision as just watching the kids. And from what I see in the classrooms, a lot of the times it looks like just standing and watching. But that's not really active supervision, right? So I think people see it as just keeping their eyes on the kids so that nothing bad happens. And that really is a part of it. We can't deny that. But I think that that's a misunderstanding as well if we think that that's all that it is, because active supervision is a constant moving process of repositioning your body, using your eyes to scan the classroom, your ears to listen to the children, anticipating what might happen, but then also engaging with the children all at the same time.
Ooh, anticipating and engaging. I love all of that. So, as an early childhood specialist, when you walk into a classroom, what are you observing from active supervision point of view?
That's a great question. I think most of the time when I walk into a classroom, my eyes go directly to where is the teacher and what is that teacher doing. I'm looking at where are the adults positioned in relativity to where are the children, and then also what are the children engaged in that maybe the adults aren't currently looking at. So I might try to quickly look at where are the blind spots. Are the children clustered together? Are the teachers clustered together? Are they just talking to each other? So I'm watching whether or not they're supervising.
Ooh, these are some great insights. And I think our listeners will really benefit from hearing them. Early in my career, I spent many years in the classroom, so I know firsthand that not every day goes according to plan. That I definitely know. Some days it feels like everything is happening at once, and transitions can quickly become one of the most challenging part of the day. In your experience, what are some of the biggest mistakes teachers tend to make during transition?
That is another great question because I have also been the teacher who has been involved in very difficult transitions. I think the biggest mistake that teachers make, especially new teachers during transitions, is that they're not counting the number of kids that they have. I have some experience working with the U.S. Army Child and Youth Services system, which is located strictly on Army bases. But one of the methods that we used for transitions in those classrooms was about a business card sized piece of paper that was laminated, and we had a picture of the child on it, their birthday, and any allergies that they might have had. So any teacher who came into that classroom or left the classroom was aware of exactly who that child was, where they were at in the classroom before they were allowed to leave the classroom.
Ooh, love that. Good visual aid. Good. That brings me to another important part of active supervision, which is blind spots. Every classroom has that. How can teachers identify those areas before an accident happens?
You are absolutely correct that every classroom has blind spots. If you think your classroom doesn't have a blind spot, you have not walked your classroom as a child yet. I think behind furniture, around corners, bathroom doorways can all be blind spots. And the best way to find those blind spots is to pretend like maybe for the day you are 3 feet tall and you're walking through your classroom pretending you're a child, asking yourself, if I was a child, where would I hide? And then once you've identified those spots, the fix is usually a mix of two things. You can rearrange the environment so that those spots don't exist anymore. But if rearranging the environment and purchasing furniture isn't feasible, you also have the option to reposition yourself or other staff members in the room.
Ooh, the point you make about the teachers need to imagine themselves as a toddler or a preschooler so they kind of have an idea what the kids are seeing. How does the physical classroom environment support active supervision?
Well, I think it's important to note that the physical environment can only support supervision if it's set up well and your environment works for you. So, in an infant and toddler classroom, that might look like having lower shelves instead of taller shelves, line of sight that goes all the way across the classroom rather than stopping in the middle of the classroom, having materials organized so the children aren't just clustering in the corners, and all of that either will help a teacher supervise effortlessly or will fight against you the whole day.
True. And again, I always tell my teachers when I used to be in the field, pick your battles, choose your battle. Okay.
Exactly.
We talk a lot about safety, but active supervision does more than prevent injuries. How can it also help prevent challenging behaviors before they happen?
So I like to think that active supervision is really a behavior prevention strategy in disguise. When a teacher is actively scanning the classroom and they're engaged with the children, they're more able to catch those early signs of frustration from the children before it becomes a behavior. And that allows you to redirect the children early instead of reacting to a behavior later.
Well, in disguise. Love that. For someone who is new to the profession, active supervision can feel very overwhelming because they are trying to manage so many things at the same time. What is one piece of advice you would give to a new teacher who is still building those skills?
I think you have to breathe for a second. That would be my first piece of advice because childcare is very difficult. But my next piece of advice is to start small. The world cannot be conquered in one day. So pick one habit, like maybe doing a visual sweep of the classroom every 30 to 60 seconds. I know I have a lot of centers now that have built in name to face checks in their iPads every 30 minutes. But if you wanted to help build that skill for yourself, do it less than 30 minutes. Do it every 5 minutes. Check their names off on a piece of paper. And I think that new teachers often try to do everything at once. And for a lot of people, that feels impossible. But we know that skills are built in layers, and most skills aren't something that you can master in one day. So start small and just pick that one habit and teach yourself how to do it.
Yes, love that. Start small, guys. Okay, Kalinda, we went very deep about active supervision. Let's switch gears up for a minute and have a little fun, okay? I'm
Okay.
going to throw out a few questions to you, and all you have to do is give me the first thing that comes to mind. That's it. Don't overthink it, just the first thing that comes to mind. So here's the first one. What is one supervision habit every teacher should start tomorrow?
Do a full 360-degree scan of the room every time you move your body.
What is the biggest supervision mistakes you've seen?
Staying in the same spot for too long.
Hmm. What's your favorite classroom management tip?
Ooh, I think positioning yourself where you can see the most children and the most blind spots at once, especially if those blind spots can't be eliminated.
And finally, this one is complete the sentence. Children are safest when.
Adults are engaged and not just present.
Before we let you go, Kalinda, if our listeners only remember two things from today's conversation, what would you want them to be?
First, I would want you to remember, especially if you're a new teacher, that active supervision is not just watching children, it's engaging with them. And second, your environment is either helping you supervise or your environment is working against you. So you have to look at your space and not just your habits.
Oh, I love that. So these are some practical ideas that every educator can start using right away. Kalinda, thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing your knowledge and experiences. I know our listeners are walking away with some practical ideas they can take back to their classroom tomorrow. So let's come back to the question we asked at the beginning of the episode. Is active supervision simply watching children? After today's conversation, I hope your answer is no. Active supervision is about being intentional, staying engaged, anticipating what might happen next, and creating an environment where children can safely learn, explore, and thrive. If there's one thing I'd like for you to remember after today's episode, it's this. Active supervision is one of the most powerful ways we show children that they are safe, valued, and cared for. It is not about being perfect, it's about being present. Small intentional actions like positioning yourself so you can see every child, scanning the environment, and anticipating transitions can make a big difference in keeping children safe and creating a calm, positive classroom. As you walk into your classroom tomorrow, I hope you ask yourself one simple question. Am I simply watching children or am I actively supervising them? If today's conversation sparked questions or you like additional support, remember that Leap Early Learning Partners is here to help. Whether you're looking for professional development, practice based coaching, technical assistance, or classroom resources, We love to partner with you as you continue growing in your practice. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please share this episode with another educator, your teaching team, or your director. The more we learn from one another, the stronger our classroom becomes. Join me next time as we continue exploring practical strategies that support educators and help children thrive. Until then, take care of yourself, keep learning, and keep making a difference. One child, one classroom, and one day at a time. Thank you for listening to the Early Childhood Connection, where we are connecting educators with ideas, resources, and one another. Until next time, keep on thriving.